Imagine two employees who have a critical team mission and can't seem to stop arguing about a trivial incident that occurred 2 months ago. Or an employee who seems concerned and can't understand why he or she received a less than favorable performance rating. How about an employee seeking a reasonable accommodation but isn't sure how to frame the accommodation or feels uncomfortable in the work environment? All of these situations can affect mission accomplishment by lowering morale and preventing employees from doing the job as well as they could. That is where Alternative Dispute Resolution, ADR, comes into play. My name is Sarah Stanton, and I work as an Associate General Counsel in the Office of the General Counsel Dispute Resolution Program for the Air Force. Now that you are a new supervisor, you need to be prepared for situations like these, and I'm going to tell you about Alternative Dispute Resolution. This is a term that encompasses a whole variety of techniques that help resolve disputes outside of the courtroom. Techniques such as arbitration, fact-finding, facilitation, and mediation, just some of the techniques that ADR encompasses. Let's talk about mediation in particular because that is the most prevalent form of ADR for Air Force supervisors to use in workplace disputes. Mediation is an opportunity for a neutral person to assist people in having a conversation to resolve issues. You may be a great communicator, the most sensitive person that you know, and the most reasonable supervisor on the planet. Even so, mediation is an extremely useful process for anyone. The best supervisors are the ones who are willing to capitalize on resources available to them. Mediators can identify where the communication seems to be breaking down and how the perceptions of two people differ. Mediators can coach individuals to ensure that they are fully communicating. Mediation accomplishes a great number of things because the mediator can assist the supervisor and the employees, or two employees that are having a peer-to-peer dispute, by enhancing communication to generate some out-of-the-box ways of resolving their disputes. The mediator assists the parties in using interest-based problem-solving techniques that generate a win-win solution for all. The mediator is trained to respect all perspectives and will never take sides or offer any sort of criticism. The most fundamental principle for mediation is self-determination, where the parties decide what they want to address, when they want to address them, and whether they're willing to settle the dispute at all. If you decide to use mediation, this is how the process will look. The ADR program manager arranges the mediation session in a convenient location that's outside of your regular work environment. The Air Force has many formally trained mediators who perform on a collateral duty basis, so the ADR program manager would assign a trained, experienced mediator for your case who is neutral and does not know either you or the employee. The informal session begins with a mediator giving a discussion of the mediation process in an opening statement. They'll talk a little bit about confidentiality and some of the ground rules that govern the mediation process. The employee and the supervisor will then each have an uninterrupted amount of time to discuss why they're there in the mediation session and some options for resolution. The mediator may meet with each party individually in what is called a caucus. In these confidential sessions, the party has an opportunity to share any information that they didn't feel comfortable talking about in the joint session. Mediation is about improving communication, so generally there is a joint session in which the parties are able to come to some sort of settlement agreement. The mediator will work to craft a legally binding settlement agreement that everyone can support, and the mediator will guide that agreement through the appropriate approval channels. There will be plenty of agency resources, such as your legal counsel and your personnel, who will help you in determining what sort of offer you as a supervisor can even put on the table. ADR can assist you as a new supervisor in making the workplace as productive and as healthy as possible, so we encourage you to use Alternative Dispute Resolution.
For an employee, mediation provides a faster, more creative alternative to the formal grievance process, helping to prevent disputes and resolve the conflict in an appropriate way. It can be used to help with a situation involving either your peers or your supervisors. Let's just say, for example, that I hear someone is spreading a vicious and completely untrue rumor about me in the office. It can be intimidating to approach this person, as it could only instigate more of this behavior and make matters worse. Instead, I can work with my supervisor request a mediation, and be able to talk to the person in a safe, protected environment. Another example could be a situation where there's an employee with a physical disability who's hurt because his other peers are teasing him. In the mediation session, the mediator can assist the manager in finding subject matter experts on the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Rehabilitation Act, and the supervisor and employee can work together and schedule a briefing for the office the following week. The employee can have increased confidence in his supervisor, hope for the future, and this resolution costs the agency nothing. Mediation allows everyone involved to be creative in finding a mutually beneficial solution.
You know, I'm a good supervisor. I treat all my employees fairly. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, someone out there feels they're being mistreated. And the last thing I need right now is someone bringing a complaint against me. I've heard the EEO and legal processes can take months, almost over a year, and that's the last thing I need. So I've heard that mediation is a really great way to address these issues. It allows you to sit down with the employee in a neutral setting and address exactly what the issue is, and a lot of times coming out having a better relationship than you went in with. You know, it's important to remember that not all disputes require compromise. Being cooperative doesn't just always mean giving in. Working with the assistance of a mediator helps me to decide when compromise is appropriate, and if so, to what extent. Oftentimes, I realize that it's just been a breakdown in communication that I wasn't even aware of. Often, I find it proactive to be the one to initiate a mediation. If it is clear an employee isn't performing or has an issue with my management methods, mediation provides a constructive environment where we can talk freely on an even playing field and really get to the root of the issue.
I'm Ken Lecter, Associate General Counsel of the Dispute Resolution Division of the General Counsel's Office. Our office administers the Air Force Dispute Resolution Program, which is a decentralized program. We could not do our jobs without the support of the ADR program managers in the field. That means that you, as a supervisor, have superb local resources right at your fingertips. Each MAGCOM, installation, field operating agency, and direct reporting unit has a commander appointed to an ADR program manager who serves as the focal point for the coordination of ADR efforts within their respective organization. If you need any assistance using ADR or any further information, please contact your respective ADR program manager. To find out more information about mediation, you can visit our website, www.adr.af.mil, which provides email addresses and phone numbers so that you can find out who your ADR manager is. Sometimes the ADR manager can be found in the Equal Opportunity Office. That manager maintains a cadre of mediators and facilitators who work on a collateral duty basis to help you. On our website, you'll find information about our Air Force Policy Directive 51-12 and the Air Force Instruction 51-1201. It is the Air Force policy to voluntarily use ADR to the maximum extent practicable and appropriate to resolve disputes at the earliest stage feasible by the fastest and least expensive method possible and at the lowest possible organizational level. Our website also contains the Air Force Mediation Compendium, How to Mediate Civilian Personnel Workplace Disputes. If you find yourself preparing to serve as the management official in a mediation, the compendium provides supervisors with creative options for settling workplace disputes. It also describes the process, techniques, and best practices for utilizing mediation as an alternative dispute resolution tool in civilian workplace disputes. It is critical to come to the mediation session prepared with an idea of what you can and would be willing to offer for settlement. A resourceful supervisor will utilize any program available to get the job done as efficiently and as effectively as possible. ADR works, and it is a resource that the Air Force encourages every supervisor to support and to utilize.
I'm Norm Jacobson, the Assistant Deputy General Counsel for Dispute Resolution, and I work here in the Department of the Air Force Dispute Resolution Office. And this office tracks and utilizes the success of early resolution activities, including alternative dispute resolution and other facilitative processes, and the customer satisfaction with ADR. Statistically, ADR saves a tremendous amount of time. In fiscal year 2009, 2,525 civilian workplace disputes were resolved using early resolution techniques with an average processing time of just 24 days. For comparison, the average processing time to close an equal employment opportunity complaint where ADR was not utilized was 460 days. It's fair to say that disputes, regardless of type, be it contract, acquisition, FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, grievances, EEO, or other workplace disputes, resolved and closed far more quickly when the parties agreed to utilize an ADR process. The workplace is better off if a party can resolve an issue informally through ADR than it typically occurs if the individual utilizes a formal complaint process. Through ADR, the parties can craft solutions that work best for them and their situations. For nearly 2 decades, ADR processes have consistently proven themselves to be faster, less expensive, less divisive, and more flexible at resolving Air Force disputes. For workplace conflict, this means increased employee morale and a more productive work environment.